follow us on our IG. Again, that's subscribe to our YouTube, like and follow us on Facebook, and follow us on IG. Y'all be safe out there.
Hi, I'm Ariel Marie Bryce Rankin, CEO of CMPRadio.net and Cultivate Mature Positivity. CMP is looking to expand our family. Could that be you? We're looking for dedicated individuals with interest in hosting, co-hosting, conducting interviews, production assistance, and even participating in our up-and-coming drama series. Don't sit on the couch. Contact us at info@cmpradio.net or our Facebook page at cmpradio.net. Cultivate Mature Positivity is the station.
CMPRadio.net is the station. Listen, man, let's cultivate together. Bring us all your show ideas. Content creators, we're looking for that. Videographers, we're looking for that. You can be a part of the next great big thing that takes place right here in Chester, Pennsylvania. Let's cultivate together, man.
La 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 la. Behind the scene, my tears fall down. So many things have happened. The years go by and the friends you have for no more. Jealousy and envy. Wow, because you keep on grinding. People wanna see you fail, and although you fall, just move on. Crabs in a barrel, want what you have, try to pull you down. Don't wanna work, just wanna take. Now you're so hate on me. The more you hate, I'll get lifted. Hate on me. The more you hate, I'll get lifted. La 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 la. La 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 la. La la la. People come, people go. Where they at, I don't know. Liabilities, your creativity, assets I need.
Words of
They
the
give
song.
energy,
Huh?
whatever
Learn the
now and
words of the
then.
I don't have to know all the words. Nobody knows all the words to anything.
They usually lower their voice when they don't know that part, though.
Hello. How's everybody doing out there in Facebook land? Right now, I'm assuming that you're sitting there like, I'm doing good. That's what's up. So, I am here again, another Tuesday night. And my guest for this evening, bellless, of course,
Whatever. I don't need your bell.
Miss Sherelle Diamond Hogans. Say hello to the people.
Hello, people.
Okay. I'm supposed to be having another guest pop through this evening, but it might not be till a little bit later. But I'm not going to tell y'all the name just in case, traffic is bad, whatever the case may be. And Ro will be back with us pretty soon. I think it's going to be like another week or two, and he'll be back. His kids' basketball season to be done, and he'll be coming back through, gracing us with his presence. So, tonight's topic that we're going to talk about, who's loving you?
That's his nice way of saying that my time is limited here.
I'll have you back if I feel like it because it's open mic.
I will invade this
ain't
place like
reverse psychology.
Listen.
Anywho.
Anyway, I don't know why we got to argue every week.
So anyway, as I said, who's loving you? When I think about who's loving you as a topic as a whole, I think about the people that we want and the people who want us. We'll have people that's in our corners really tough, that'll always be by our side. And deep down inside, we may know that they have some type of physical attraction to us, some type of emotional attraction to us. And for every case in point, they may be somebody that might actually be a good fit, but for whatever reason, we tend to like shy away from them. I don't know, maybe they're too skinny, too fat. Maybe they're too dark or too light. Maybe they're not black enough, I don't know. Maybe they're not tough enough. I mean, one of the most craziest things I ever heard somebody actually say to me back in the day was, well, you too nice. I'm like, oh, shit.
Who said that about you?
Man, let me tell you, I try not to ever say names because I don't be trying to call nobody out. But I've had somebody tell me before that I was too nice. I mean, now I'm a totally different person.
That's what I was saying. It was really a rhetorical question, but I was just saying, like, who? Like, what human being really said that? That's all.
We're going to act like that wasn't said. No. But back in the day, I had somebody tell me that, and I never really quite understood it. But the funny part about it is, I'm going to say, maybe this was like high school time. So maybe about 15, 20 years later, you get that inbox like, yo, how you doing? I remember back in the day, you used to this and you used to that. And I always dug you for that, mm-hmm. And a part of me in that instance was a little flattered. A part of me was like, wow, because it was somebody that I had really wanted at the time. And for them to show up in my inbox, it was kind of like, well, damn, here she is. And she's presenting herself to me. But after about 20 years of time, like life takes its toll on us all. And now you're in a situation where you already built your life with somebody. Mm-hmm. You already had like 6, 7 kids. You know what I mean? You're not doing too well for yourself and assume that I'm doing well. And these are the only values that I can attach to it. I don't know. Maybe she really did sit back and do some honest soul searching and said, you know what? He was always a good guy. Mm-hmm. Maybe. But I'm in a different space now. So why would I turn around and say, invite that into my life, knowing that when I tried to give you my all, you didn't want it. You didn't choose to build a life with me. You chose to build a life with someone else, mm-hmm. And now that didn't pan out so well, you did everything you wanted to do. Now it's like, okay, let me settle down. Oh, he was a nice guy. And that's how I kind of took it. I mean, do you think that happens that way?
Definitely. Definitely. People look back and they think of what could have been. And, that idea of, what, this is, let me try this out. I maybe overlook this person, but sometimes it's a little too late. And then you got to know what their motives are. You know what I mean? Like, let me see, you made it. Everybody else I was chasing probably wasn't chasing me. And now you look safe, you look successful. So let me give you some attention because you was the one chasing me before. So some people think that if they give the attention that you wanted back then you know what I mean, that you'll take that.
It's crazy to even assume that, well, okay, you look safe. I mean, it was funny to me. It was funny to me for like a hot second because it became like, damn, that's probably really what somebody's thinking. Mm-hmm. Okay, you ain't running the streets, you ain't selling drugs, you ain't, touching on little kids and stuff. You got a job, you do the things that you're supposed to do in life. Right. So yeah, he's a safe bet. But that's after you ran with the bad boys and you did everything you was doing and you got tired of doing bids with people. Right. Now all of a sudden, somebody becomes an option. Right. So it's a little weird.
Especially like high school stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like you're crushing high school and now you either reunions or you see each other on Facebook and stuff mm-hmm. like that. But we're not the same people that we were in high school. You know what I mean?
The craziest part about it all, to me, honestly, is that, it's a part of you that always say, you know what? I should have sex with that person just because I always wanted to. And then in their eyes, you become like everybody else, and they'll call you and they'll say to you, oh, well, you just like everybody else was. You know what I mean? But then what made you so different from everybody else back then who didn't want the nice guy? So back then you were like everybody else, but right now I'm like everybody else. Mm-hmm. You got what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it gets a little weird. So we always got to be like, who's loving you? You know what I mean? That's what it really boils down to. Like, who do we allow to come into our lives after all these many years? How many people have you bent over backwards for to make sure that they succeeded, and you yourself get neglected in the process? Like, sometimes people don't see you as their priority, you know what I mean? But you see them as everything. And I think this is the biggest problem within most relationships. I think the biggest problem is we typically don't, we don't value people the way they should be valued at certain points in our life.
Yeah, people take people for granted. Like, you want to be there. Like, I had someone tell me, I'm here. Okay, you're physically here, but what does that mean? Like, your presence is here, but it's like there's nothing else there.
Yeah, well, even like we was discussing earlier, and I mean, we spoke on this before, and I spoke to you guys before about this, how everybody's love language is so freaking different. You know what I mean? And for some people, they might say, I'm here, and they may be giving everything they have to give, but to the person receiving that, it's not enough because it doesn't mimic what they believe to be what love is to them.
Right. And just because you're with somebody doesn't mean, like, you can still be alone and with somebody there, you know what I mean? Or feel lonely with somebody else there. So some people think that their presence is enough. Like I don't want to pick on fathers, but like parents who, because I'm trying to change the narrative.
Okay,
so
I'm saying you pick on fathers, I'm
whatever.
Pick on mothers.
Anyway, I'm changing the narrative because there's some mothers out there too. Like, just because you're present in the home doesn't mean you're present in your child's life. You know what I'm saying? So you're physically there, but are you present in that type of relationship?
Yeah.
So so the love languages, I had looked this up. There's a couple of them that, in the love language book. So words of affirmation, gifts, acts of service, quality time, and physical touch.
But who needs what?
Exactly.
That's what it boils down to. Who needs what? Like, for me personally, I don't need positive affirmation. I have very high self-esteem. Like, and it's so weird because back in the day, I had very low self-esteem. Honestly, like most of y'all know, I have 7 brothers and 1 sister. And out of my brothers, I always thought I was the ugliest. I always thought, and it was always reaffirmed in my mind, because if I went to parties and stuff like that, I was really shy, but typically walking up to a girl and just asking her to dance, I get shot down. But it always seemed like women just threw themselves at my brothers. But the crazy thing I did to kind of like shift it a little bit was I learned how to dance. And once I learned how to dance, man, let me tell you something.
You can dance.
I could dance my ass off. Let me take you by the hand and talk to you.
I didn't mean to listen. Now you're singing. That's not dancing. That's chair dancing.
No,
There's a difference.
My,
that's chair dancing with your hand up, and then you're trying to distract people with your voice. That's not dancing.
Well, my voice. If I had a voice, I could distract them. But
I
what
would
I'm
say the
saying
same
is,
thing.
I learned how to dance, and once I knew how to dance, it became like a different world for me, because people wanted to dance with me, because at a party, that's what they want to see. That's what they want to do. Everybody want to be with the guy or the girl that knows how to party. And the girls that knew how to party wanted to party with the dude that knew how to get down. So that's what I did. And that was my way in. And so for the most part, it's how conversations got started. And then what I started realizing, or what my new belief had came over time, once I started opening up that door and having conversations, I started to believe, well, women looking at me, I would never get them. But if I had enough time to talk to them, to show them my heart, to show them who I was, that they would be more apt to date me or to see me. What wound up happening within all of that was there were so many things from the equation in other people's minds and in females' minds that I must have been missing, because I wasn't the bad boy. Because, I wasn't selling drugs. I didn't have a car. I didn't have a lot of things. I went to work. I went to school. I played sports. And I went home, and I wasn't the best at every sport I played. I wasn't the star player. I was just a supporting cast member. And so what wound up happening was because people got to know me, they would see me.
Right.
But they may have boyfriends and stuff. So I was always like the side dude.
You the side dude?
I was a side dude for a very long time.
You seem happy
but
about that.
I was okay being that. Listen, let me tell you something. I was so okay being a side dude. But at that time, like I said, I had that type of thought process in my head that, well, it was okay. And I mean, even to this day, I don't think that there's nothing wrong with it. I think if you're going to be a side anything, as long as you're being treated well, as long as you're getting what you need out of the relationship, then what's the problem? And I know there'll be a lot of people that disagree. Hold on tight. Hey, hold on tight. She said, hello. Yes, if you love yourself first, then you can love another. Yes, you can. I agree with that 100%. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But so much of how we feel about ourselves is actually tied into the thought processes of how other people see us.
Yeah, you'll act on how you feel about yourself. That's what you'll act on, and that's what you'll kind of attract. You know what I mean? If you're not confident about yourself, then you won't act confident, and then you'll attract someone who's looking for someone who's broken and needs that validation. And then once you get that validation from somebody else, now you really become enslaved to their affection.
But I think that people subconsciously look for those things. I don't think it's that somebody actually, I don't think that everybody that's in those types of relationships seek out the broken.
No.
Because to some degree, we're all broken. To some degree, we all have something wrong. Let me tell you something. Ain't none of us out here whole. And even if you are kind of sort of whole, I promise you, when you speak with somebody intimately, they can see the cracks in your porcelain.
Definitely.
They can see where you were glued back together. And those cracks echo the past hurt that you had in your life. I mean, you can see it. It sticks out. It stands out.
And I'm not saying everybody like wants to do that to be a negative. Like, you know what I mean? Some people, they see that, they see the cracks and they want to fill it in a good way. And some people want to take advantage of, I'm not listening to you. Listen, I'm not fooling with you. But some people want to, they want to, not letting you get me off course. Some people see that and then they take advantage of that, is what I'm saying. So, but how you feel about yourself is how your world you create about yourself is the world that you'll act upon.
Yeah, oh, no doubt.
So how you act and how you portray yourself is how you will be perceived in a certain sense. So if you have low self-esteem, how you act and portray yourself, people can see that in the certain things that you do. And it's either going to be attractive to the right person or the wrong person.
Well, the odd part about everything is I like to ask a question. And the question that I have is, how do you know you're beautiful? How do you know you're beautiful? How do you know you're handsome? And most people will respond back, because I know I am, because I said I was. But the honest to God truth is, we base our looks off of what people say and not what we see. Because even when we see ourselves, you know what I mean? We see, them dark spots under your eyes, or you see any freaking imperfection you could possibly see. And that even happens with the most beautiful woman you could possibly ever see. The woman or the man that all women covet or all men covet. What winds up happening, though, is that even those people who seems to be at the top of the social scale, when we look at those people,
they still identify their flaws.
Exactly. And I always say this: you show me a fine ass woman and I'll show you a man that's tired of fucking her, that's tired of dealing with her. You show me a really handsome dude and it's a female out there that don't want to put up with his shit no more.
Because a lot of times in our society, people chase image versus substance.
Exactly.
So just because you have a good image or a good body doesn't mean you have good character, good integrity, that you have substance, that you a solid person.
Well, I think most people don't start chasing after, substance until they get older, until we start realizing like the futility of being a human being, knowing that you're getting older, knowing that you hear those footsteps in the back of you that's catching up with you, which is time. It's time. At the end of the day, we are communal people. We are not built to live alone. We're not built to be alone. Even when people say, I just want to be by myself. Let me tell you something. You show me somebody who by themselves, and I bet you if you was living in the mountains way off where nobody treks and nobody treads, I bet you that person is out there talking to that hummingbird that comes out and chirps in the morning. I promise you.
Yeah, I get
or
it.
talking to the sky or talking to somebody. Listen, we need people. It just so happens that because we base so much of ourselves off of what other people say or how other people view us, you know what I mean? It's people who won't even stand up and speak because they feel like, oh, everybody's going to look at me like I'm stupid, or everybody's going to look at me in this light or look at me in that light. Hold on tight says some people are beautiful, some are cute. You have fine men, and then you have sloppy and messy. Well, you know what? Let me tell you something. It's a screw for every nut. I don't care what nobody says. It's a screw for every nut.
Your analogies.
That is a screw for every nut. Like, what do you want? Like, at the end of the day, you show me, it's somebody sitting out there who thinks that somebody who is 500 pounds is utterly disgusting. And there is somebody out there that's looking at that 500-pound person. They're like, oh my God, you so thick-alicious.
And a lot. I've heard that the 600-pound, that TV show where people are grossly overweight, that they're never by themselves. They always have somebody with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's like there's somebody out there for everybody. There's somebody out there for everybody. But it's like finding that person in this wild world, in this big world is.
Well, the problem is most of the time we do find these people, and this is what I was saying earlier. Sometimes there are people who literally like worship you from the very beginning, from when you're in high school, from when you're getting out of high school. You run around in your young life, and those are the people that typically you turn your back on. Typically, they will always be, you know, the bridesmaid and never the bride, you know, so to speak. We do have a guest here this evening. Are you ready to come in, Stefan? Come on down. This is The Price is Right.
Oh, Lord. What I was going to say was that sometimes, you know, people are busy chasing the facade of who, you know, they think they should be with, and they overlook what's right in front of their face.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know,
no doubt. Hey, Stefan, can you get Pierre to turn this mic up? Because this mic, check. I don't think this mic is on. This one right here isn't on. And all you got to do is slide it up. Slide it up. Slide it up. It should. Yeah. It's not on. So, what it all boils down to, I'm sorry about that technical difficulties here. What I want to do is take 2 seconds real quick so I can introduce the next person walking in here that's going to join our conversation this evening, Mr. Stefan Roots. Come on down, sir. You're the next contestant on The Price is, I don't know. Say something to your mic so I can make sure I can.
Oh, testing.
There you go. There you go. Yes, sir.
Beautiful.
So, Stefan Roots is here tonight. He's going to join us in our conversation. But before he joins us in this conversation, I wanted to let everybody know that he's running for city council down here in the fine state of Chester, Pennsylvania. And I'm going to let him expand on that and also tell him to tell you guys what you need to do to vote for him when you can vote for him, the process of signing a petition and all that goodness. So I don't want to take away your thunder. So with no further ado, Mr. Stefan Roots.
Not a lot of thunder. My name is Stefan Roots. I am running for Chester City Council. For those of you who don't know, there's an election coming up. There is an election coming up on May 18th. But before I can even get through the process, I've got to get on the ballot. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And to get on the ballot, I need your signatures. So if you're a registered Democrat, if you're a resident of the city of Chester, get in touch with me. Mm-hmm. You can get in touch with me on a whole bunch of platforms. Our slogan is basically Roots for Chester. So you can go to Roots for Chester on Facebook. Everybody uses Facebook.
Yes, sir.
You can email me at Stefan@rootsforchester.com.
How you spell Stefan?
Stefan. I'm sure it'll be up on the screen at some point. So there's that. We have an Instagram page that's absolutely blank, but it does say Roots for Chester at the very
Well,
top.
because y'all just putting it up. Y'all putting a little bit of work, and the important thing is that you hitting the ground running.
And we got a website that if you go to rootsforchester.com, you'll see a website, but it's not the final take. We got a web designer sitting in the background putting some final touches that should be up at the end of the week. So we got a lot of ways to get in touch with us. Get in touch with us if you want to help us on the street. We're looking for volunteers to get some signatures. Or if you want me to get you to sign my petition, just get in touch with me. I'll track you down for that signature. So that's pretty much the process right here. We're doing this for the next couple of weeks. We've got to get, the right number of signatures to get on the ballot. So I don't like to talk too forward right now, but we're all about change. Everybody's looking for some change in city government, and I'm that change agent.
Yes, change is not just for dollar bills, y'all. Well, I was expecting like somebody say, I know that's right.
I thought you were expecting some applause.
Well, you know what? I'm used to performing on stage, and typically there is some type of crowd participation.
And since this is the exact reason why you should not hold both bells if you want somebody else to ring the bell for you. So since you made the joke and you want somebody to applaud yourself and hit the bell yourself.
There you go.
There you go.
Me. So tonight's conversation is basically who's loving you.
Oh.
And we're talking about how, it's kind of like organic, the conversation, but we're talking about how sometimes people could be really close to you and they could be everything that you need, but, you backseat them or you friend zone them or whatever for whatever reason. I think that most people tend to value their wants over their needs, especially at different phases and different stages, in their lifetime. You got what I'm saying? So the thought process pretty much is, what you say?
I said all in my notes. Don't be reading my paper. Go ahead over there.
I can't even read what you write.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
Anyway, I'm going to act like this ain't happening. Anyway, so the thought process, for me pretty much is that when we overlook the things that we need in life to hold on to the things that we want, it typically puts us in a bad space. We don't always go after what's best for us. You got what I'm saying? And I think that's a lot of times why parents kind of they try to direct their kids in a certain direction because you know what you want for your children. You've made your mistakes. You kind of see sometimes when they're kind of going in that direction, you try and nudge them over. But it's one of those things in life and love experiences that people tend to have to learn for themselves. And the worst part about regret is it can only be experienced retrospectively, like when you look back. When you look back, you can say, I had everything that I needed right there. But when you get to that point in your life, it's kind of like you done did everything that you wanted to do, and that person is looking at you differently. So how they looked at you in the moment there, they won't be looking at you like that now. And I know that's like a big mouthful of stuff to say. I'm just trying to bring you up to...
So what happens to us when, as children, we're being guided by our parents, we resist, we find out at some point, dang, mom was right, or dad was right. That doesn't always right us, though. No. We still just go on and do our thing. Is that the case, or that you see most of the time?
I honestly think so. I think unfortunately, a lot of people go through so much damage throughout life. They sustain so many hits to their esteem, to their self-worth. A lot of people don't even value themselves enough to even know who they are. I always say for the right woman, the right man would do anything. For the right man, the right woman would do anything. But people don't realize that they're the right man or the right woman. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we want to be so rebellious when we're younger because we're trying to find ourselves. We're trying to make our marks. Our friends are everything until your friends screw you over a couple times and you realize like, hey, this ain't working out how I thought it was supposed to be. You know, I don't know. I think we get older and some people learn and they do grow, but a lot of us get stuck in place. That's what I think anyway. What about you?
Well, I mean, it's very easy to see in a city like Chester, for a guy like myself who went away for a number of years.
Yeah.
And I came back and found my friends in the same place that they were when they were 15, 16, 17.
Yeah.
And they looked very different.
Right.
For some of them, I had to run to the yearbook and say, "Your Tom here." I remember Tom on page 73.
Yeah.
If you say you're the same people, I might have to roll with it.
Hey,
But I do see where, depending on your circumstances, you can find yourself stuck in the mud, stuck in the snow, stuck on the corner, stuck in mom's house.
Yeah.
And you become quite comfortable with it.
But at what point do we become so disinvested in our own life, in our own like mental health, in our own spiritual health, in our own when do we become so disinvested in ourselves that it takes us down a path of a cycle of behavior that continuously like damages who we are, and at the same time it puts up like this barrier that keeps everybody at a distance, whether it's good or bad, because all we do is we learn a situation from when somebody hurts us and we apply what we've learned, but it's the worst things that we've learned that we apply. You got what I'm saying? It's like if somebody cheated on you before, it's like you get with somebody new. Oh, it only take 15 minutes to go to the store. You're like, what?
Right.
Like, I'm 46. Like, what just happened here? You know what I mean? And a lot of times you see people paying through how they act and respond.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. It's like a maturity thing, a personal maturity thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what do you value? What do you want? And then being able to separate that from the facade of having this or, living this type of life or having the best of this. And then you can get those things, but then you're still not happy. You know what I mean? So you can get the football player, you can get the cheerleader, and then you're still not happy.
But you're going to get the things that go along with getting those people as well. So are you equipped to handle that? Like, or it's kind of like if you go after what you feel society sees as the finest thing out there, right? There's a certain type of mindset you have to have that. If you want to have the person by your side that everybody wants, can you deal with what comes with that?
And that's where things fall apart at, because now it looks good. Well, everything that looks good on paper ain't always good. So it looks good. The imagery is good. You know what I mean? You got the wife, the kids, the dog. You know what I mean? They got the picket fence. But then you don't have someone who knows how to deal with finances and the mortgage and cutting the grass and all this other stuff. So the image that you had now falls apart. Now here you got regular Joe Blow over here, you know what I mean, that, is good with the finances, but you overlooked him because you wanted the image thing. And again, it's a maturity thing. And we have to know who we are, what we bring to the table, and what we really want. And you said it earlier about your wants and your needs. Sometimes we think we want something, but then we realize I really didn't need that. What I needed was someone who could hold my hand when I was sick or be there. You know what I'm saying? It's the substance of a person, the substance of a relationship that will last longer than the image of a relationship.
I think people are so stubborn though that they're still going to sit there and want what they want over what they actually need, and I don't know if it's some type of sickness. I don't know, like we're stuck in this place, and in this place is kind of like a purgatory of our own making. We're sitting here constantly living the same relationships over and over and over again. And let me tell you something. If every time you get into a relationship, you got the same complaints, then it's not the person that you're with or the people that you choose to embark on those relationships with. It's you. Maybe it's the process of how you choose people or pick people, or maybe it's all that your damage will allow you to receive.
Yeah.
So maybe it is that guy in the basement. I don't know. Maybe that's you. Maybe deep down inside you feel the need to rescue.
And a lot of times people have the need to please other people or show that they've made it. Like a lot of times, and you see this all the time at reunions, people only brag about, oh, I'm this and I'm that. And look, I made it. I'm just not, regular Joe Blow I'm not the person you remember from high school. Yeah. And then can't pay the Cadillac bill. So it's an imagery thing, especially in this society where everything is so Instagram, it's so social media, it's so what you can show, but then people are depressed behind the computer.
But is it the society?
It's the society that we create, but it's the society that we feed into.
There you go.
That's what I'm saying. So it's the maturity of you want to prove, you want to have this image to prove something to somebody else who ain't even really thinking about you.
Well,
they just want to have this image.
My question becomes though, is that really it's not just in like areas like a hood. It's kind of like all over. I think
it truly
we share
is
the same behavior no matter what your socioeconomic status is. At the end of the day, we all want to be somebody in somebody's eyes. It's not enough for us to be somebody in our own eyes. Why do we always look at ourselves through other people's eyes? You got what I'm saying?
I truly get that, but that's the maturity part. But if you look at how society is really played, everything that we purchase now, especially music, oh my God, if you don't have the bangest body and then have music that talk about how you living on the top of the hill with all these guards and all this entourage, then they're not promoting you like that. Someone who has substance is downplayed and doesn't get the radio play, doesn't get the image play that somebody who has the look of a superstar.
Well, the odd part about everything is that when we look at how many outlets kind of pour into that imagery, you know what I mean? The honest to God truth, who are the billionaires? The billionaires are the people who went to school. The billionaires are not the people who are involved in music and that. Right. The performers and things of that nature. Most of the time they wind up dead broke. And the sad part is even people who go to the NBA, the NFL, make all these millions of dollars. How much do they wind up with at the end of the day?
They still have a GoFundMe to help them. But it's the image that's pushed. And that's what I'm saying. No one talks about the owners. And this is our children are feeding into this too. They just want to be seen. They want to be accepted. They got to have the hottest stuff. They have to have that image that's accepted because they don't accept themselves in a sense.
It's crazy though, because I think that to be a rapper, to be a ball player, to be in those types of arenas and have that type of fame, I think it's really pushed in neighborhoods like this. You got what I'm saying? I think it's pushed in neighborhoods like this, and then neighborhoods that are not like this, like we want to be those aspiring actors, rappers, and everything else. And I think outside of these neighborhoods, those people, those kids want to be our kids.
Yeah.
It's weird the way that works. It's, it's like I was telling somebody earlier, I had a friend growing up, a really good friend, had all the best things in life, I promise you. His mother was a nurse. She took care of famous people. His father was a preacher. They had everything, the big white Christmas tree. Like I walk in their house and be like, because I grew up in a house where my mom had 9 children. Sometimes my Christmas present said, boy age 8. You know what I mean? So for me personally, I'm like, damn, Santa Claus didn't even bother to write my name, but at least he knows how old I am. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I'm watching him having everything, but he want to be one of us. Mm-hmm. You got everything you could ever want, but it's not enough.
It wasn't valued. It was just simple.
To
him, it wasn't valued. But it was valued to the other people who wanted his life.
Exactly. And the sad part is people like that are never truly accepted.
Does it flip though? You think? Do the kids of this community want that other life?
Yeah.
I think they do. I think they do, but I don't think
so. What's the disconnect? Why aren't they approaching it? Why aren't they achieving it?
Because we're told that the best way that we can do that is through our athleticism. It's through our talent. This is the only way that you're really going to make it. A lot of us for school, because education isn't the same across every community in this country, which I truly don't understand. If children are one of our greatest resources, you would think that, I mean, even scientifically, there's no one race that you could put together that can come up with better ideas than a diverse group. It's proven, like scientifically, literally. Don't believe me, look it up. You know, I always say that. But the whole thing is that, I don't know.
Well, let's address our kids. I mean, what can we do tonight, the three of us? What can we do to give our kids a different narrative? Is it to, and I'm going to be extreme here, is it to cut cable off from Chester, cut radio off, cut internet off, throw something in the schools, have a caravan of something going up and down the street, hollering at these kids, removing kids from their parents? I mean, what is it that these kids will respond to as genuinely as they respond to pop culture?
So a few years back when I had the cafe, Chester Charter School had commissioned me to come in there and teach children how to write, poetry. So I'm teaching them how to write poetry. And I know we sound a little bit off topic, but I promise I'll bring it back. What I learned, I always ask a question. And the first question I asked, because I know my brother was murdered in this city. And so I asked a simple question. It was probably about 26 kids in the classroom, and the classroom ain't that damn big. It's like 26 kids in there. But I'm like, so how many people here today know somebody who's been murdered in this city? Whole class raised their hands. Then I say, well, how many people in this classroom has had a family member that has, succumbed to violence? You got what I'm saying? And out of those 26 kids, at least 15 kids raised their hands. So what I found in doing the things that I was doing in teaching was that they want to be heard. They want to feel value. I think if you really let a child speak, let me tell you something. We all want structure. We want structure. We crave structure. Even when you say you're an individual doing your own thing, you crave structure, because if you're driving down the road and somebody doesn't signal, you're going to flip out. That's structure. Believe it or not, it's structure. Our lives are kind of like interwoven with it. Kids want the same thing, but kids want to know what they say matters. And they don't just want to say it. See, we as adults, this is why I don't like meetings. We as adults, we'll get together and talk about something 12 times and barely do anything. We'll try to allocate resources, but we're really trying to figure out how can we get paid. So at the end of the day, we don't really serve our community the way that they should. When I was in the war, literally, they said, fuck the adults. Worry about the kids. You get them kids candy, you get them kids water, you get them kids food, because the whole thing is these folks will be running everything eventually. And these adults feeling the way that they feel, they stubborn. They not really gonna change. So be polite, be as nice as you can possibly be to who you have to be nice to. But for these children, you treat them like kings and queens, and they'll love you for it.
So you learned that in the Army.
I learned that in the school. I learned that in the Marine Corps. I learned that in the Army.
But I mean, that's direct instruction on the value of touching kids, meeting them where they are. Me, going into public service, I know the children are our future. That's got to be a focus of what it's all about. That's what change is. Anything I do today is for this kid 4, 5, 6, 7 years from now.
Exactly.
So how do I started off saying, how do I reach the kids?
Yeah.
You kind of flipped it to say, we as grown folks learned how to touch the kids. So maybe the education isn't direct to the kids, but it's to a group of adults.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm just sitting back listening because
it's
I need to hear all sides.
I think it's kind of like reciprocal in a way. I think that we have to show the kids that they matter. We have to hear them when they speak.
But my question is, who is the we?
The adults.
The adults.
Because we have this perceived thing going on.
So when I hear adults, I'm hearing parents. I'm hearing uncles. I'm hearing big brothers. I'm hearing neighbors. I'm hearing store owners. I'm hearing coaches.
I'm going to say adults, period. Taking away all titles. Like we as adults have to show children that they matter. And at the end of the day, if we show children that they matter and what they say matter, you know what I mean? It gives them more power. Because let me tell you, just like you traveled a lot, I traveled a whole lot. I've been to mostly every state in this country, and I've been places outside this country, Shannon, Ireland, fucking Germany. Like you name it, I done been there. One thing that I kind of learned coming back here, I used to get really upset and disgusted by the little things. Like when I'm on the street with cars parked on both sides, it's one lane, and somebody is sitting here having a conversation with somebody in a car, and there might be a parking spot right here. Just pull over and talk. Pull over and have your damn conversation. Please, let me go where I gotta go. I used to be flipping out. But then I realized something. That's probably the only thing they can control. The only thing they can control. And if you try to take it from them and you honk that horn, that's a challenge. You want to take this from, you going to wait. And you know why it's so important for you to wait? Because nobody waits for them. Nobody cared where they had to be. Nobody cared about what they had to do. So why should they care? But this is the problem. Like, we really have to start, and to add on to that, our children see that stuff in return. And most people don't realize that a lot of things that we teach our kids is not based off of what we say. It's based off of what we do.
Definitely.
Because let me tell you something. Nothing in this world is more honest than a child. Nothing is more honest than a child. A child will tell you in a heartbeat, you ugly. You got what I'm saying? And then we as adults will be like, don't say that. Don't do that. And then later on get in the car with that same kid and laugh about it. You got what I'm saying? Therefore, telling that child what you did was okay. It just wasn't okay that you did it in front of them. Mm-hmm. You got what I'm saying? So now you're sending confused and conflicted and mixed messages. I know I'm going way off topic, but I get kind of hyper about that. Nah, because you know what? It's the honest to God truth is we do need to figure out how to change these things.
Let me tell you about a phone call I got today. Mm-hmm. Guy called me up. His stepdaughter was at school. She's 13 years old, whatever grade that puts you. 7th, 8th, maybe.
Yeah, about 8th,
7, 8.
I'm thinking. Yeah.
She has a white teacher, and the teacher was calling the class Negroes, using the term repeatedly. Kids were like, And then the teacher said, Columbus discovered America. The class flipped.
Oh, I bet.
They were like, we're Negroes and Columbus discovered America? And they confronted the teacher, which in some instances, kids might be too scared because of the authority figure. But in this case,
Not
the
these
kids,
days.
no. These kids were like, yo, that's enough. The teacher got very defensive. So this one kid called her stepdad. Guess what happened just 10 minutes ago in school? So what do you think should happen in that case?
Well, number one, I think that teacher should be fired. I'm going to say that just flat out.
Well, hold on. Before the teacher gets fired, somebody has to confront the teacher. So the kid called the parent. I'll tell you, I'll just finish the story for you. The parent made a phone call to somebody. That somebody said, call the principal. He called the principal. The principal said, I will handle this. So that's where it stopped for that moment.
Right
so
now.
I'm sitting here trying to calm him down because he's ready to flip out and go to the school and
don't
turn
wanna
over
do
some
that.
tables. I was like, nah, you can't do that. But I said, you know, what I would love to do, and it goes to your point, is to know or to hear what the kids know about the word Negro, how they feel about the word Negro. Because obviously, if someone called me a Negro, I'm sure it has a different effect than if you call a kid a Negro. To them, it's a bad word. To me, it was almost a term of endearment as a kid, you know, but as we got older, it became black, and then it became African American. Negro is a joke for us now, right?
Well, I mean, I look at it this way. You should be addressing them as, you know, children, or by their names, or kids, or however it's going to go. But once you say Negro, that's way too much.
Well, let's take it a step further. Will that teacher ever have control of that class again?
Oh, no. Nobody going to have respect for her. Nobody.
So if that teacher is not removed, is the school year lost for that class?
Better yet. And this is a huge problem, because number one, for her to say that, the first thing that kind of popped, well, not the first thing, but probably like the fifth thing that's popping in my mind is we don't know who's teaching our children and how they feel about whatever they feel. Them addressing our children like that, knowing that they attach that value to the word Negro, especially after the freaking year that just passed. This is what you do?
And not having cultural sensitivity to still educate without abusing or, you know, harming your clientele in a sense. So
we're not going to resolve this tonight, but this is just an example of all the elements that have to be touched in order for our kids to move where we want them to move, to know that they have an option. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, here's a real live, like 8 hour ago situation that, you know, I won't say thank God, but here's a kid who stepped up. How many kids are like, I can't say nothing?
Well, a lot of kids these days, especially in 8th grade, their kids these days are they're outspoken.
But they'll also clock out. So if they don't take it to a point where they expect some action to be taken, they're going to clock out. The teacher's going to stay there. Well, they're not going to pay attention for the rest of the year.
Imagine what that does to them, period, turning into adults. Like, you got to realize these aren't isolated incidents. They're not isolated incidents. It's kind of like, let's say you wake up in the morning, you woke up late. So now you're rushing around, you grab a cup of coffee, you spill some on you. Now your shirt jacked up, but you're already en route. Somebody done cut you off. And it's all of these things snowballing. By the time you get home at night, you done cussed your wife out and kicked your dog. You know what I mean? And that's the end result of that buildup. Well, these children, they get it from all angles, man. You get it from your parents. You get it from every adult, because in our culture, not only do we take all the power away from our children, the educators do just the same half the time. Now, I know some really good teachers, but I know some teachers that's clocked out just as well as the kids have. Yeah. You know what I mean? You answer me this. And once again, I know I keep saying I'm going to get back to topic, but answer me this.
It's all my fault.
Why is there so many children down here on IEPs? So many children down here on IEPs, it's ridiculous. And understanding how these schools work, they get X amount of dollars per child per day. If the child has an IEP, that's like getting a bonus in a way. So now,
let's define IEP for those who may not know what that means.
Is that an individual education plan?
Okay.
So basically, it's saying like, okay, your child has problems reading. Your child has problems in math. Your child isn't where they should be at this point with this skill, basically. Now, at the end of the day, what I've learned about children is the same thing I learned about adults, because those children turn into adults. I used to be a child. People learn different ways. Some people are visual learners. Some people, they're audio learners. You know, like we're different in every way. Some people have to actually physically do things in repetition to kind of like learn it. Some people can do something once and they golden. You know what I mean? The whole thing is you put this one standard here and say, this is what children need to learn. This is how they need to learn it. And if they don't fall into this, then they're falling behind. Then they're not at they're not running at maximal potential. You know what I mean? For where we need them to be. But the honest to God truth is, let me tell you, you can take all types of math all through school and literally never use it when you get out of school, farther than counting your money and paying some bills. You know what I mean? You can be an English major. That don't mean you're going to turn around and write a freaking novel or, teach college students or whatever. It's so many skills we get in school that I can't even express how I went to college. I only went as far as my bachelor's degree. You know what I mean? But I ran my own business. I worked for myself. So, and most people that I know that are entrepreneurs, when we look at freaking Bill Gates, Steve Jobs and stuff like that, a lot of these cats dropped out of college. They said, the hell with all of this. I know what I need to know to do what I need to do. And Steve Jobs was just smart enough to get people that knew how to do what he needed done to build his fortune. You know what I mean? We all learn in different ways. And just because all of our intelligence isn't the same, it doesn't decrease your value. It just doesn't. You could be a great leader and freaking never go to college. It's just the way that it goes. And
so we have to help children identify their purpose, create
Exactly. We have to nurture that in children. We have to truly, truly let them know they matter. And honestly, it's not enough of us listening, man.
A lot of adults talk to children versus having a conversation with them. People have their own agenda when they go into conversations or meetings with children. So you talk to them versus talking with them, or you talk at them versus talking with them and hearing their perspective. I work with children a lot and actually work at the detention center, and a lot of the kids, they just want to be rappers, and for them, you talk about what they want to do, and they want the fame, they want the money, they want the stability, but what they see and what they idolize is the imagery of being a rapper. I like music. Okay, but you like music. What about writing music, or, being a basketball player? What about thinking about business where you own the team, or what happens if you get hurt? So thinking beyond that, for them, their immediate gratification is, I want stability. And they think they want the life of the rapper that they see, but when you actually talk to them, they want the stability. They don't want to have to struggle. They don't want to see their parents struggle. So it's helping them develop a plan to get what they desire, but they have to see other avenues of how to get that.
Where is it?
See, people ring the bell for me. But it's not enough imagery out there of doing it a different way. What is publicized, what is blown up, you get record deals, shoe deals, you get clothes deals, you get all this stuff. But these kids want stability. They don't want to struggle.
Well, much like the government, kids don't understand how that game works.
Well, they're not exposed to your point.
Yeah.
So they need more exposure.
But even in our schools, when we think about VOTEC, that's gone. The only avenue is academics through these schools right now.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the only avenue. There are people out there who have businesses, who have nonprofits that are partnering to be able to still provide a trade. We just have to connect with them. There's fraternities who have that. So you can't go the natural route. You have to go outside the box and actually look for people who are doing it and see that this is a piece of the puzzle that's missing. Because kids these days, I talk to them all the time, they drop out of school, they don't go to school, but what will happen is they always need food, they always need somewhere to live, they always need clothes, and so those three things. So they're going to do whatever it takes to satisfy those three things.
But a seventh grader isn't going to know where to look. And
they will. They will. Well, I'm saying the adults. I see what you're saying about the resources. So us adults need to be more educated on the resources and what's available in our community or what can assist them. But I'm saying the youth, they're going to gravitate to feeding those things. And the quickest thing out there to get a buck is selling drugs.
Well, the biggest problem, honestly, is that with all of these programs that can be in place, we had a discussion yesterday, and much to a point, it's kind of like you'll see the same faces. They don't necessarily reach the kids that honestly need it. Not saying that those children don't need it, but the children that these programs don't touch are the children that typically fall through the cracks, the children that feel like, well, I got to do this, or even feel like it's stupid because we need this now. Like when I was growing up, they had the STEP program and they had Upper Bound. And in these programs, we went to school, but we worked also, and they paid us to work and earn a paycheck. And we worked at the colleges. We worked at so many different places doing so many different things. And to me, I was thankful for that because, like I said, my mom had 9 children. Yeah. And with that money, I bought Christmas one year for, my littler brothers. You know what I mean? Because it was like, I had access to it, and it goes to show once again, and I'm not saying every child across the board, but all we want to do is have what everybody else has. And like you said, don't want the struggle, want things to be a little easier. Like, I understand things in life is going to be hard, but nobody said it was going to be this freaking hard.
Right. Yeah, and it's harder. And what we don't understand, and I say this all the time, is what we don't understand is the struggle that our youth are going through. As adults, we are going through this pandemic. We're doing all this other stuff, but we just think the children or the young adults are told, "Oh, y'all young, y'all don't know nothing. You know what I mean? Y'all not dealing with anything. You ain't got to deal with the bills I'm dealing with or the adult stuff I'm dealing with." But they deal with their own stress on their own level, and it's hard out there for them.
Well, we need to find better ways of dealing with our anger when we're in those spaces and places. We need to realize that. Like I said, you come home and you yell at your wife and kick your dog. You don't want to come home with all of this on your shoulders and then try to dump it off on your kid. Right. Because they're the closest to you. And
they're the easiest outlet because you deem them powerless and that you do what you're told or, it's just a letdown.
It goes back to control. It's
it is. That's the only thing you can control. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, you damn well going to do what I say. Because all day long, they've been doing what people told them to do. All day long, they couldn't say no. All day long, they felt less than who they were or who they wanted to be. It's so many people who don't get to experience what they dream of doing or want to do. But that's why I keep saying, let me tell y'all something. So many people look at this pandemic like it was the worst thing that ever happened. But let me tell you something. This was the best thing that ever happened because it slowed us down. It created an opportunity where most people might look at it like this is getting on my nerves, but you get to proctor your children. You get to teach your children. You get to teach your children things that you know. You get to garden. If nothing else, it showed us that if the supermarket says they're out, then what? So, I mean, maybe it should inspire some people to start a garden or a community garden and just trying to find different ways of being self-reliant and self-sustaining. You know what I mean? It's been a good thing. This is the time to start your business. It should tell us
it's been a good thing to those who survived it.
Yeah, true.
And
very true.
It's not a good thing for those who survived it and have lost their jobs. Yeah. And so on. There's a lot that.
Let me tell you, it's been other things that happened in this world where a lot of people lost their jobs. There's big companies who closed down or decided to ship jobs away. It's always people losing a lot of jobs. It just so happened to happen at the same time across a whole country. But even when that happens, typically the government isn't saying, here, take this extra $4,000, take this extra whatever. Like I said, Amazon showed remarkable growth during this time. Walmart, stuff like that, all these businesses and making all of this money, and we're not. So maybe this is the age of the small businessman to really come back, find them needs in our community, and plug them fucking holes, man. Plug them holes.
You know what I'd like to see? Going, all right, plug a hole.
Plug a hole.
He's gonna ring the bell for himself.
I want to go back to that. I want to go back to that classroom situation I came up with today.
Yeah.
We're talking about we have to listen to our children.
Mm-hmm.
You know, adults have to listen to the children. And what I like to see in that classroom, let's just forget the Negro word, but the fact that what set them off. What really set them off was the fact that she said Columbus discovered America.
And
what I'd love to see happen in that classroom is say, stop. Hey, kids, go out and do a research paper. Write down a report, a page or two. What is Columbus? Okay? So that the teacher can learn what the kids know.
But the teacher already knows. The teacher is teaching from a curriculum that has been taught for years. So they're not changing anything. They're not changing the narrative. But because we have educated our community to know that that is now false, a lot of people are not stomaching that anymore. You know what I'm saying? So they have not changed the history books. They're still teaching the same stuff. But when you educate the children and empower them to be able to speak up, but to do it respectfully, then it can be, you know, a situation that can have been dealt with better. You know what I'm saying? But they're educated enough to say, no, that's not right.
Well,
you know?
I'm wondering if every classroom across America is teaching the same thing. Most of the time, the problem is that to get new textbooks and stuff, it costs money. And in college, it's one thing because the student is responsible for buying their books. But in grade school, the school is responsible for getting all these textbooks and everything else. So to get new textbooks with new information.
But the new information isn't being printed to be able to be purchased.
But what I'm saying is, I can't necessarily say that's true. I know it's not being printed in this community, and maybe a lot of communities that look like this may not be getting that information. It's like a lot of schools stopped doing cursive writing, right? A lot of students don't know how to write cursive. They don't know how to do their payroll signature. But that's not everywhere. It's here. And I bet it's in a lot of neighborhoods like this, but it's not everywhere. So education isn't equal regardless to anything. And most of the time when our children find out things like, hey, Columbus didn't discover America, it was probably through Facebook or YouTube.
Social media is really just
listening to their
people.
Parents talking. I mean, most people don't even know that Christopher Columbus actually was a horrible person. Queen Elizabeth and King Ferdinand and the Pope and everything, they wanted to stop, slavery and everything, right? Because they figured it was going against like doctrine when it came down to the gospel and all. And what wound up happening was Christopher Columbus was like, oh shit. Well, if they do that, they're not going to keep funding my exploration. So what he said was, they savages out here, they eating people. They eating people. So then what they said, well, if it's people eating people, those people you can enslave. You got what I'm saying? But then how would they know? Because they're not sitting there. They don't know what's actually going on. They sitting back in their little comfy castles and stuff and just taking the word of this charlatan.
Yeah, by the same token, though, if I was a teacher and I've been a substitute teacher and I was teaching on the subject of Christopher Columbus, let's say, and we don't know if she taught this lesson today from a textbook or not. It might have just came off the top of her head.
True.
But I'd probably start off with, there was a street in Philadelphia called Columbus Boulevard, and it's been renamed. There was a holiday called Columbus Day, and now they call it Indigenous Day from here and there. Let me tell you why it's gotten to that point.
Yeah.
And that's where the history should be starting.
Yeah, but it's so crazy because one conversation really spills into another, and it's a conversation that can, like, even what we're talking about right now, we can talk about this literally like all year, and I think still not touch on like a little bit of the information, a little bit of what's the problem, how the problem is, how it's affecting. All I know at the end of the day is all of these things that's happening, it creates a scenario for our children to grow into adults that are unsure of themselves, that are already turned off to even listening to anybody who don't trust. Let me tell you something. Trust is the only thing that can experience diminishing returns. Like love in a way is eternal. Somebody can always love you. They might not like what you do, but they can love the hell out of you. But trust, man, if you break trust once, you will never be trusted the same way again.
Especially with the kids.
Exactly. Oh my God, you let a kid down. Let me tell you something. Especially if you were really important to them. They might expect everybody else to let them down. But you can't. You cannot. But I'm going to follow that up with a piece of poetry, actually, just because it's going along those lines. So, we need something to fight for. You see, I remember it was cool when I was young and dumb playing tag and hide and go seek for fun. But now that I'm a little older, I see the streets are playing tag with bullets and hide and go seek with guns. And the only ones that really suffer is our daughters and sons. You see, everybody seems to be in a rush for the grave. So many people fought for our freedom. And sometimes we still out here acting like slaves. Ooh, I got to start that over. So, take it from the top. We need something to fight for. I remember it was cool when we was young and dumb playing tag and hide and go seek for fun. But now that I'm a little older, I see the streets are playing tag with bullets and hide and go seek with guns. And the only ones that really suffer is our daughters and sons. You see, everybody seems to be in such a rush for the grave. So many people fought for our freedom, and here we are still acting like slaves. And I refuse to place blame only on some white man. You see, my Uncle Fred told me a long time ago that nobody could do anything to you that you don't allow to happen. And if you don't believe in him, God rest his soul, just listen to your favorite rapper rapping about the niggas he be capping or the bitches he be slapping. And if he tries to throw any facts in, the record label tells him it won't sell. Well, I'm here today to tell you that the devil is alive and well, and no longer does he reside in hell, but in the sports and music industries. And he's so damn good at doing what he does, he has our children believing that that's all that they can be. So while one child rushes home from school and work on his rhymes, the other one works on his freeze. I mean, forget homework, law, and chemistry when the devil already told your child of his destiny. I guess my only question is there but one among you who will stand up and fight with me. Thank you. Jesus, that was long.
That was great. Man, let's give that man 2 dings.
Oh, I got 2 dings.
It's funny only how the males can touch the bells around here,
Jesus
but I ain't gonna
Christ,
say
I
nothing.
just put them to my right side, and it just so happens. Anyway,
Well, you
no,
could do
it's
a new
not
rhyme
that
there.
just the males can touch the bells.
Can touch
what
the
it
bells.
is that you
I'm
can't
just
touch
saying.
the bells.
I'm
There
just
you go.
saying. I'm just saying.
So what it all boils down to
I'm doing
is
it on behalf of you.
living vicariously through Stefan. There you go. So, I mean, what it all boils down to is that we need to invigorate our children by showing them that, number one, we trust them. Number 2, always uplifting them. Man, let me tell you something. We strive off of people telling us we do a good job. We like those accolades, even if they're just words. Sometimes people need to hear something to keep them going forward. Let me tell you. So one remarkable thing about President Obama becoming president, it's not the fact that he became president, it's the things he said. He inspired people in the same way Hitler did, believe it or not. Now, y'all can look at me, what? Where the hell did Hitler come from? Let me tell you something. Hitler inspired a nation to damn near exterminate a whole group of people. Man, words matter. Words matter. What you say, they can move people to greatness or to destruction. You got what I'm saying?
Definitely.
You call somebody dumb enough, pretty soon they'll call themselves dumb. Matter of fact, I ain't gonna say it's probably just gonna be stupid anyway.
Yeah, the voice out, the external voice becomes the internal voice because they
All
accept
day.
it.
All
They accept
day.
it as their own.
It's the same way you run around calling people ugly. Let me tell you something. When I was a little kid, being called black was an insult. You black. Every time they wanted to say something, somebody wanted to insult you, you tar baby. You black midnight mug. You know, people would just say stuff like that to destroy your self-esteem. And it's so weird that we get older, we come into our blackness and everything. And I wonder, is there a little voice in the back of our head that's just echoing still what was said before? Do we truly believe that we're beautiful being who we are? It's just a question.
Not unless other people
Are
are
telling
co-signing
us.
that,
There
because
you go.
even with Instagram was going to do away with this, but they haven't taken away the like button because people are driven by the likes. And now they have the Insta stories, whereas if you put something on Insta story, most people won't like your picture, but you'll see a lot of people at least saw it.
Well,
So it's more sees and views on the Insta story than it is people actually pushing the button of like.
but see, don't you think that would just morph into something different? You take away the like button, then it's going to go off of, well, this many people watched me. And so then you could put any value on that. That's taken away, it's so weird altogether. We put so much stock into social media. Like, social media is now real life.
Yeah. That's how reality shows and all that other stuff blew up too. I recently read something, and I've adopted it with my youth that I teach. It says, instead of when the young adults do something good, instead of saying I'm so proud of you, you should say you should be so proud of yourself for what you've accomplished, because it changes the mindset of waiting for someone to clap and applaud
validate
you
you.
for what you did, because we're always looking, did anybody see me? I did this good job. I just did this. I just graduated. Nobody's here. But with the topic of tonight, who's loving you? And I have this exercise that I'm doing with my children now. They actually have to turn it in tomorrow. And I did it with my adult associates also. Like, who's on your squad? And a lot of people have a relationship with so many other people. They don't have a relationship with themselves. They're waiting for everybody else to love them, and they don't love themselves. So if you don't teach them to love themselves first, and everybody else is just in surround sound, they'll always be looking for the applause of others. And that's what this community has. I got new sneaks, so ain't nobody see my new sneaks. I got a new dress on, so nobody
they
saw it.
gonna
I got
show
a fresh
you.
cut. You know what I mean? They want to be seen. They want to be valued. They want to be heard. They want to be, I am here. Does anybody see me?
Well,
But we have to teach them to see themselves and value themselves.
Well, in an effort to be heard, I think that's where most of the bad behavior comes from most people. In an effort to be heard, what will you do? Punch
And they
somebody in
are
the
doing
face?
a whole lot.
In an effort to be
Yes.
heard, what you going to be that young lady, that video young lady? You going to be the one at the rainbow party? I'm just showing my age. I don't know if they do that anymore, but that used to be a thing. You know what I mean? The
I'm
chicken
young, I
head
don't know
parties.
what that's about.
Hold On Tight said, but the system never taught the truth. And we didn't have all the technology that the children have today that helps us teach them and what we've been trying to tell them. We told them about what's real, and now they can see what we've been teaching them, so that all old stuff the teachers was saying our children are going to challenge every time.
Right.
Yeah, but and once again, to that point, technology is a double-edged sword, because let me tell you something. No investigation, no right to speak. What happens is there are so many things being put out and nobody checks the source. Mm-hmm. Nobody checks the source. Right. So somebody can literally tell you, tell your kids that James Brown, was the first man on the moon. And they will go out and spew that as if it were true. They will fight to the death as if it were true.
Because they
got what
synced
I'm
it.
saying? Because they synced
They
it.
synced it.
Synced it. They synced it on Facebook. They synced it on Instagram. Hell, everybody's saying it. It gotta be true. Man, so many people share so many ugly things. And the sad part is that lies are woven so delicately that they almost taste like truth.
Yeah.
You got what I'm saying? And even we as adults are guilty of just seeing stuff. We can see a video, 5 seconds of a video, and post it, or the first time we see something, before all of the facts behind it come out, we'll post that, we'll make our point. This is what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And then later on, some other news will come out, and you'll find out like, oh shit, I spoke too soon. Mm-mm, but some people will go down with that shit. Mm-hmm. Some people will go down with the shit. They don't care. They don't care. This is what they said. They sticking by it. Mm-hmm. But why? Why does it go that way? You got what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. It's definitely ridiculous. I want you to know tonight, I'm not ignoring comments. Oddly enough, though, I normally have quite a few people interacting, and I'm wondering, like, what's that about? But that might be my own what they
issue.
call that? My own issue, though.
No, I'm just saying it's you. It's you.
It's always me, huh?
It's always
I
you.
understand. Anywho, so bringing it back to topic, the question is, who's loving you? Who's loving you? The question is, do we forget to love ourselves somewhere along the way?
Some people were never taught to love themselves, though.
Well, something. The problem is, I think that love is different for all of us. And so even if somebody tries to teach you how, it's like when you teach your children how to write. You're teaching them, hold your pencil like this. Like everybody holds a pencil or pen differently. I hold mine like this, a little high up. I know some people who grab all the way down near the point and it looked like it hurt their hands, but that's how they kind of write. You know what I mean? A lot of us, we try to teach things to a certain standard, and we got to realize people need different things to feel loved, to feel secured. It's like if you make good money, you don't need somebody that make good money. You got what I'm saying? You might just need somebody who gonna rub your feet. And to you, that may be love. For some people, getting flowers every once in a while means that you're being loved. Some of us, we don't require a lot. Some people need positive affirmation like all of the time. Oh my God, you're so fucking sexy. And they need that. And they drape themselves in that like freaking hot fudge on a Sunday, and it's so good to them. And the moment that they don't get it, they feel like they're not validated. They feel like their value, like their stock has just plummeted. And sometimes it destroys people on certain levels. It's just the same way they say that a woman knows how to push a man's button. Well, men, they know how to deflate a woman. That's the honest to God truth. Sometimes the worst thing you can ever do to somebody is simply take yourself away.
Yeah, starve them from the thing that they
need the most.
Yeah, they need the most. And it's terrible. It really is terrible to do that, to know that somebody requires that, desires that, and they appreciate that, and then you starve them of that for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's abuse.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
But sometimes some people may feel too guilty to even pull themselves away from somebody. Because, all right, let's put it this way. If somebody does something, if you're in a relationship with somebody and somebody does something to wrong you, and you want to pull yourself away from that, but then you feel guilty because you know that they'll be hurting when you do it, you can stay in a situation and continue to have wrong done to you. So sometimes we don't even know how to pull out. We can't even get an exit strategy. You know what I mean? Because we're too worried about this person. I know some people that worry about, they could be being done wrong 24/7 and will be scared to pull out because they think this person will fall apart if they do. And they feel this undying responsibility to stay by somebody's side. And sometimes basically it might be based off of one situation where they were really there when they needed them. Or because we've been taught under the social construct that, okay, well, you had kids with this person, and so you ride it out. I don't care what happened. You ride that out. And for a long time, that was one of the sayings that people ran around, ride or die, ride or die. Oh, I'm ride or die for mine. And then it became, oh, I'm the bottom bitch. That confused the hell out of me. Because saying that you're the bottom bitch, that's, I don't know. That's,
what does that mean?
It just means like you're the one that holds it down. You're that bottom bitch. I mean, don't try to get me to make sense out of that
I'm
shit.
trying to stay in the conversation. I really don't know. To me, it sounds like the bottom means the worst, not the top. But like you would think you'd be the top if you're the person that's holding it down versus the bottom. The bottom is like...
Well, the bottom is the foundation. And most people don't think about that if you have that secure foundation. But this is the way that we take words, and people understand words to mean different things.
Right.
You know what I mean? So some people, you know, the bottom is the worst. I don't never want to be on the bottom. But for some people, it's the highest compliment, because if you wasn't there, it'll all fall apart. But see, once again, we look at all these euphemisms and things like that on freaking Facebook, all of these clichéic terms and things of that nature, and people apply them to their lives, and it becomes real life. You know what I mean? Oh, strong foundation. I bet you I could pull up Facebook now and find at least a post that says something about, strong foundation. Does people just share the same bullshit over and over again? They just add a couple different words to it.
It's a difference between going through things together versus you always struggling in a relationship. And I think that's you can go through a lot together and we're working this out together. But if it's abusive, where it's one person who's constantly just being that person that's just riding it out and being abused or dragged along and everything, that's not a healthy thing.
But we can't just assume that some people are just being dragged along. As I said before, some people choose
I get
to be
that.
in that space.
I'm talking about I'm talking about the whole strong foundation. And I mean, you go through ups and downs in relationships, and somebody who got your back, we're on the same page, we're going the same direction, I'm in it, you're in it, but versus getting the short end of the stick all the time is what I'm saying. That's just not a healthy relationship.
Well, the case we haven't heard is, let's say I'm the one being abused because I'm not being satisfied in one way, shape, or form, but I never expressed to you what's not satisfying. You're not doing this now. Well, you used to do that. Yeah. And I'm missing it. So many times I've seen where there's just silence on that end. They're taking it. I'm expecting you. I'm assuming that you know what's wrong with me.
That you know.
And, as time goes on, I'm getting angry. You're still behaving the way that you're behaving.
Well, because you don't know nothing's wrong.
Because you don't know anything's wrong. And we never have an opportunity.
Got an attitude.
Because
you're not in the mood like you used to.
That.
So some people are just afraid to confront each other. It could be a compatibility issue. It could be just like, I don't want to rock the boat right now because it looks like things are going. He's going to turn around, or she's going to turn around. She's going to understand. Yeah. She's just going through some things
what
right
you
now.
Accept is what you don't speak to is what you accept, and now becomes the new norm. If we talk about this a lot, is communication. Like always checking in and seeing what's going on, and knowing your partner, something's wrong. Like you're different. Like, you know what I mean, and being willing to invest in that person. You know what I mean, and say, hey, what's going on? You're not the same. You're not laughing, and like, what's going on with you? Being able to have a healthy conversation, or always, I'm a talker. Well, I will talk. What's wrong? What's up? I'm always checking in.
Make space just to come to the table in the same way you get reviewed at work. I think you should be reviewing your relationship. Like you should sit down occasionally, I think at least a couple times a year, and it's something that I always wound up doing in relationships that I was involved in, just to check out to see, like, okay, well, how are you feeling? Is there any grievances or anything? Because the honest to God truth is,
that's a big word.
Hey, people have grievances, and most people, like I said, when you create a situation or scenario where you don't give people opportunity to air out their grievances, that's when it turns into resentment, and that resentment turns into actually a boulder over top of your head, because one day you're not going to take the trash out, and that's going to start the whole cascade of everything. You go from not taking the trash out to 3 years ago when Aunt Esther needed you. All she needed you to do was pick up a soda, and you sitting up here like, what?
I've been there.
How we get here?
I've been there. I remember going to a fashion show with my significant other at the time, and the fashion show was boring as hell.
Like this?
Oh my God, it was terrible. So we got to intermission. I went in the hallway just to slap my face around, and I came back, and I knew I couldn't make the second half. I knew I was going to fall asleep at the table. I said, to avoid embarrassment in front of this whole table with you and your friends, can I go home? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead home.
That mean no.
Yeah.
That mean, just because you said, yeah, go ahead. I heard it.
So I went home, and I felt better. I'm out of that situation. And when she came home, I got slapped.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. And I had that knee-jerk reaction.
You should have put some Vaseline on.
I had the knee-jerk reaction, and it changed the course of everything.
Yeah.
But after a little bit of time, I realized it wasn't just the fashion show that made her hit me upside the head. There were some things that led up to that that I was just ignoring, and that she was actually not addressing with me. Yeah. Okay, I didn't know it had gotten that bad, but it turned out to be a relationship changing moment.
Yeah,
because you're not going to hit me.
Yeah,
and
think it's all good.
Yeah. And like I said, knee jerk reaction wasn't cool.
Yeah,
and I had to catch myself.
Yeah,
and I said, you know what? It's really time to make a quick decision here.
Yeah,
and it affected a few lives. It wasn't just me and her, but it was all because I couldn't stay awake at that boring ass fashion show. I shouldn't have went. But it wasn't all because.
It was all because in that moment.
Do not invite him to a boring fashion show.
At least have music at the fashion show.
My goodness.
That was my issue.
You got to realize what you don't tell people, they will literally never know.
Yeah.
And just because you're angry, you know what I mean, it doesn't mean somebody else is. Like, you could have went home thinking, oh, man, she's so wonderful. I can't believe she let me just go home. You go home, you slide into your boxers, you're watching something on TV with your wife beater on, and then she come in and try to body beat you. You like, yo, you was just cool at the fashion show. What's going on?
Well, in my mind, I felt I did her a favor because I didn't want to embarrass her with my face on Formica.
Yeah, well, it just goes to show you, like, they say no good deed goes unpunished. So in your mind, you thinking this is like a good thing and I'm doing something for you. But it goes to show, once again, we as human beings, we look at things in different lights. You can be with somebody for 10 years, but y'all look at things in different ways, and it just speaks to the point that we all need different things to feel love. To me personally, I need communication. I need you to just be straight up real with me at the end of the day. I don't care. Let me tell you something. I'd rather you sit in my face and tell me that I don't sexually satisfy you. I'd rather you just literally say that to me and let that be a conversation. Let it be a conversation. I'd rather you sit in my face and tell me, you know what? You don't do enough to help out around here. You know what I mean? Because if you don't and you just argue with me, I'm saying to you, well, damn, I'm a man when you touch that light switch and the lights come on. I'm a man when it's gas in the car and it's inspected and running and everything. Oh, I'm the greatest in the land when I'm fixing broken things. You know what I mean? And you got to realize that some people view that as love. If they pay the bills, if
being
they
the provider.
Yeah, being a provider, they're giving you security. They think I'm loving you as hard as I can. But in your eyes, you don't do nothing for me because what you need is not being done. Listen, if you with somebody right now, if you thinking about getting into something, sit down. Let's talk about what it is that you need to make you happy. What do you need to make you happy? And just be honest. If everybody was straight up honest about things, this world would be so much better. That little bit of honesty may cause you pain in the beginning, but it saves you from the literal degradation of a situation that you've been in for so long that you don't want to let go of because you've been in it so long. Like, it's people who don't want to let go. Oh, I put too much time into this. Well, guess what? 5 more minutes is 5 more minutes of that too much time that you did put in there. And if you have to say you put too much of something into, let me tell you something. In loving somebody, you can never give them enough of you. You can't. You literally can't. Look at it this way. When we first get with people, when you get that euphoric feeling, every conversation you want to have for hours, every second that you have free, you'll turn into Houdini and find out ways of switching and changing up your schedule to make something work. Man, give it about a year. Then you just like, look, I'll talk to you next week. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of like the way that it goes. But I think that if we did sit down at the table occasionally, rap about what our relationship is, where we need this thing to go, how I'm feeling, performance evaluations, if you will, you know what I mean? And you give people the space to be honest, and they give you the space to react to their honesty, and not just walking away. Because you got to realize, if you tell somebody that they, depending on how you say it sometimes, you know what I mean, that they're a straight up bum or something, you know, that you can't expect them to be smiling that you said it. So you have to give them space to react, you know what I mean? And we all have to get over ourselves sometimes. You know what I mean? Get over ourselves. Get out of our little square box we got into our head where everything kind of sort of makes sense. Because
No, I was agreeing with you.
no, because sometimes when you lay that shit out and you look at it and you read it over a couple times, you realize, yo, this really don't make sense. Paige said many people don't know what they need. And she also said they get so used to living in a situation where being unsatisfied becomes the norm. It's hard to even imagine that you could be happy or what that even looks like. Damn. Who wants to just exist? That's called existing. I woke up this morning, therefore I exist.
I heard a funny Valentine's story. It was from a lady. She was talking about her relationship early on in her relationship, and they knew each other pretty well. And he wanted to be romantic on Valentine's Day. So he did the rose petal thing. You know, when she came home, the candles were lit. The rose petals were out leading to the bed. So she comes in the door, and she's telling the story, right? So she comes in the door, she sees him looking all good, candles lit, rose petals on the floor. She freaks out because she's a neat freak.
Oh, wow.
But he knew her well enough to say, hey, baby, don't worry about anything. I'm going to clean all this up when we done.
Happy Valentine's.
And Happy Valentine's Day.
Right.
And she said, yeah, that's my dude.
There you
He
go.
understands me.
There you
you
go.
know, and they went on and had a good Valentine's Day.
Well, you know something, and that's important though. You need to know. You know, you sometimes I know we all need what we need, but we do have to look at the fact: do we understand the people that we're with?
Right.
You know what I mean?
And not take them for granted. Relationships are taken for granted after a while. Like you just take it for granted that their person's there, they're with you, and it's like it always needs to be nurtured. You know what I mean? To be fed, to be protected. People want to know that they're loved and they're appreciated and they're valued. Not so much make me happy, but do you value me? Do you acknowledge me in this relationship? You know what I'm saying? It's
I
not
hate
so
when
much.
somebody asks me, do I make you happy? Only because I understand your ask, but I don't want you to make me happy. I just want to be happy with you.
Right,
Yeah.
right, definitely. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying take on the responsibility of making me happy. I'm saying nurture this relationship to love it, value me in it. You value the relationship and make me feel appreciated in the relationship. And it's reciprocal. It's reciprocal. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't make somebody else happy. You can do whatever you want and they still not happy.
You know what's funny? While we sitting here talking, and I apologize for cutting you. While we sitting here talking,
You ain't happy?
I keep going back to the question about the kids, and listening to what you're saying is the same thing that I'm saying about children. Letting them know that they matter, letting them know that they're heard, and nurturing that and all. So you know, it just goes to show that we as adults who were once children, you know, grow into adults that still need what children need. So it's kind of like we as human beings, we as living organisms on this planet, we all need the same things. It may look different in different ways to different people, but it's still the same things.
Yeah, and in intimate relationships, you choose to be with this person. If I choose to be with you and you choose to be with me, don't treat me like any other Joe Blow on the streets or on social media. Like, make sure that I know I'm valued as your mate. That's a relationship. Because if not, why be in a relationship? If you're not going to make that person feel special, make them feel like you chose. Thank you for choosing me. People, what I've learned in life, people do not have to choose you. Your family don't even have to choose you. So when someone chooses you, value that And you make sure they know that I value you choosing me, because you could have chose anybody else.
Your family don't even choose you.
That's what I
because
said.
At the end of the day, you're just born.
You're
you don't
born
choose
into
your
people.
Like, these are one of the rare occasions where somebody says you are acceptable.
Exactly.
You'll work. Come on.
Yeah.
You know? And as much as we want people to value us, basically, because let me tell you something. No one person will ever be all things that you ever wanted and need.
And that's something.
It never works out that. So guess what? You'll work.
Yeah.
This works.
Yeah.
Let's be happy.
If
Let's
you
be
choose
happy
to be
with
intimate and share your intimate space with someone, share your secrets, you want to share laughs and stuff, then show that person you value. Because if not, why are you with them?
Damn.
Why there's plenty of people out here you can choose. If I choose you, then I want to give all that energy and stuff to you. I want to make sure I chose you, I value you. And that's, because relationships can get stale. You're going to have ups and downs and stuff, but to ever question whether somebody that you share your intimate space with, whether they value, whether they appreciate you, that's a bad place.
That's a
really bad place.
Let me tell you something. If you got to question anything
Ouch.
like that, like I can't even see that even working. Now, I don't even want to be in that space with somebody where I'm not even sure like where I'm at here. Where do I stand with you? Because if I got to figure out where I stand with you, I'm going to walk across the street and stand over there, and that's just the way I personally feel about it. I mean, we got to be more strategic in choosing the people that we have in our lives, because the same way somebody chooses you, you choose them.
Yeah.
It is. So you can't always be upset when somebody wrongs you when you know you had responsibility in it also in choosing them.
Yeah.
Stop choosing the wrong people. Stop loving from a space of pain. And this is what I always try to say. A lot of times we get in these relationships and we're loving from our pain. We know what that looks like, what that feels like. It's our comfort zone. It's much easier for us to sit and get with somebody new and complain about somebody old, or keep revisiting to how this felt in that moment. And you want to sit there for so long that you never get a chance to appreciate the space that you're in now.
Yeah.
Guess what? Everybody's damage is not like yours. And some people are actually trying to heal. And if they feel like you're an obstacle to them healing, then they're going to back away, and you'll never know why. You will never know why. You got what I'm saying? So we got to check ourselves. We do. And it reminds me, I'm going to share another piece because it's 9:38. That clock is like 2 or 3 minutes.
I was about to say, if you can't see that clock.
9:39.
I definitely can see that clock.
9:39.
It's just a little off, 9:39. So what's going to happen is I'm going to share a piece. I'm going to let you give out your information again. And then hopefully at that point we'll be to the space of we do some last minute thoughts. So everybody kind of takes 5 minutes or so to say what they feel. I might run away.
He only gives you 3. He says 5, but he gives you 3.
So anyway, so since we're talking about, who's loving you and everything else, and this is a poem I'm sure y'all probably heard before, but I'm going to share it again. It's just simply because at this point in my life, I was at a certain space and I didn't value somebody, but I think that after it was all said and done, looking back, I wrote this poem retrospectively because I asked myself, what happened? What really happened? Like, I know what happened, but why did it happen? Why did it? So anyway, and I'm only doing this because you're here, and I know you don't got your part. Ha ha.
Oh no, you ain't gonna try to play me.
You're scratching, I'm groaning. We climax. Before my pulse rate declines, my phone rings. I already know it's my bull on the line. I've told him to call so I could tell you a lie. You asked me to stay, yet I quickly decline. I can't share your pillow with you. And in your eyes, I see disappointment, but you don't understand. I can't allow myself to feel what you've given is so honest yet real that first it was only sex appeal, but now I find myself confused. You see, I can't express love. Stuck in a man's body, I'm still only a child in tune with the streets and the call of the wild. I've Never learned to love, and so I run away. Don't want nobody else to have you, but yet and still I'm too abused to stay. You see, my real father was the same way, and I resented him for that, and so I guess maybe in reality I hate myself. But what else can I do? You see, I'm just one man who has been hurt too. Under construction, I find myself self-destructing, and baby, I just don't want to take you. You have given me so much without ever asking for one thing in return, and although you're always in my corner, I still have not learned to share your pillow, and I know it hurt you, but guess what? Baby, I'm hurting too. How can I make love to you when the only thing I've ever known is how to screw? I can't share your pillow. I walk through my pain to hide my tears. I reach for my keys and you just lay there. And then you go and give me this blank stare and ask me, will I call? I closed your door deep down inside. I knew that made you feel like a horror. I stood on your front steps wanting to rush back to tell you how much I adored you. How I get scared when your body trembles when you call out for me. And baby, maybe that's just why I ignore you. How when I'm alone, I drop to my knees and I shed tears for you. You see, I can't share your pillow. Maybe I should just leave you alone. I see the hurt in your eyes when other women get to ringing my phone. But you see, I can't help myself. My problems and pain run too deep. I'm too proud to ask for help. You see, you're the best thing that has ever happened to me, but what I don't tell you, I guess you'll never know. And although I love you more than I love myself sometimes, baby, I just can't share your pillow. You're such a hater.
Let me tell you something. I respected you doing your spoken word.
You almost messed me up, but I ain't let you.
But you should be a professional and stay on cue anyway. So he did his portion of Share My Pillow, and it's a back and forth part to it. And so what he didn't do is prepare me to do mine, or I would have brought my laptop.
Know I was gonna do that,
but you did.
Based off
so
the
you should have saved it. But you should have saved it. But he did his part, and I'm gonna let him have his moment. That was
hold on.
That was a good one.
Cafe
that was
Live.
a good, very good. Very good.
Keep your damn class. Save them for Judgment Day.
Share My Pillow is one of my favorite pieces of spoken word, and it totally fits what we talked about tonight.
Wouldn't it be crazy if on Judgment
Day, if you didn't
Day,
interrupt me when I was speaking every time?
When your life is flashing across your eyes, God say, "Meet my son," and it's me standing there. Wouldn't you feel crazy?
No, I wouldn't.
Let me tell you something.
I'd be asking Jesus what he put in that juice that he turned from water to wine, what he was sipping on, because Lord knows.
This is the sad part, though.
I'm just saying.
If Jesus came back, he ain't gonna say, "Yo, how you doing? I'm Jesus." And if he did, nobody will believe him. Listen. That's the kind of world we living in. So watch what you say. You never know what you're saying to somebody. Just appreciate me while I'm here. Where are my flowers? So where can they find you at? And do you have anything set up right now where they can go and sign a petition, or they have to send an email like, boom?
Wow, I mean that's switching gears a little too fast for me. So kind of let me ease into that part. But let me just say,
how was my day?
Thank you for inviting me onto the show tonight.
Not a problem.
I didn't know what to expect. I am much better suited listening to this show than participating in it.
I think you did a great job.
Well, thank you.
You did a great job.
I'm relationship challenged, and I will admit it. So what you mean you don't know? We ain't never dated.
No.
I am no longer part of this conversation. I have no idea what's happening here.
What I'm saying though is that we all have relationships. You know what I mean? And so since we all have relationships, it's not that we're all challenged. It's just that I think as human beings, we have to learn ourselves and learn the people that we choose to be.
No, but in all seriousness, this show is very important, and what you're talking tonight is straight up therapy. Mm. And when we talk about talking to each other and through each other, sometimes we just don't know how. So it takes platforms like this, and we would hope that people would tune in, they learn a little bit, they get that little relationship tweaked. There's professional help out there as well, so I'm thrilled to be here. I'm glad I lasted this long because there was a couple of times I was looking at the clock saying, you know what, I don't know if I want to stay the whole night.
You like leaving places. You ain't left the fashion show. You trying to leave the radio show. Like, which we need a marching band to keep you interested over here.
I probably have more challenges than I'm really aware of, huh?
He said, I'm about to go. I'm about to dip.
Yeah, but thank you for this time. My name is Stephon Roots. I'm running for Chester City Council. The question you asked is, how do you get in touch with me? How do you get on these petitions? You know, we're really just out in these streets right now. Just
what was the email that you put out there before?
I did put my name, Stefan, Stephon at Roots for Chester. That's FOR, rootsforchester.com. The Facebook page is really active, though. The Facebook page it's alive, it's active. Everybody knows how to use Facebook. So just put your comment or your DM out there. And this one out here is like, I'm not on Facebook. Roots for Chester on Facebook, on Instagram. Can't wait to get that website up and running, but it is up. So there's rootsforchester.com as well.
Can you put the
Roots for Chester on Instagram and Facebook.
If you look in the comment section, Diamond has been so kind as to post it out there. So, it's an easy way of going there. We're definitely looking to have our community be in better shape. Man, it's not, let me tell you something. It may look insurmountable, the things that need to be done around here, but if we all wake up every day and just do one small thing, you know what I mean? You can't, if you sit down to eat a steak, you don't just shove the whole thing in your mouth. You got to cut it into pieces.
How do you eat an elephant? You heard that one before, right? One bite at a time.
One bite at a time, yeah. Because you definitely ain't going to fit that thing down whole. It's just the way it go.
No, but we're it's a campaign about change. Everybody wants change in Chester. At least everybody who comes in my contact says, we're ready for change. We're ready to just see. And, I'm just a small change right now. I'm just a single person running for city council. There's 4 other people that represent, the council seats. Mm-hmm. So it's an incremental change. But, what we're looking to do is let people know that it doesn't have to be done the way it's always been done. So join me. We'd love to, give you a little bit of knowledge. Let me give you some petitions to get some signatures. Or I'll just, like I said earlier, chase you down.
You do a podcast as well, right? You do something like that?
What I do on Making a Change Group, Corey Long's platform, on Fridays from 10 to 11, I'm on live with an interview show. I have the chesterblog.com. You can always read my stuff there. You will get carpal tunnel scrolling for all the stuff that I have out there. It goes back to 2010. Where else can you find me? Yeah, I'm all over the place.
You can find them in these COVID streets.
If you were on the Delaware County Historical Society, we had a great program this afternoon on Zoom, or this evening on Zoom, that I moderated. We were talking about 1960s Chester and school desegregation. 101 people tuned into that. That was phenomenal.
Cool.
So I'm always out here in these streets.
So now we are going to hit up these final thoughts. And as you can see, it's not me, it's the time. So
let me see what time it is. 9:49.
Final thoughts. You get 2 minutes.
See what I mean? It's always cut me short. That's all right.
Not at all.
No, we're, who's loving you? We're talking about love languages. So just definitely know yourself and know what your love language is. Take the time to really do that, because you can't expect something from somebody that you don't even know you want from yourself. You know what I mean? You want them to figure it out and guess and play this, and they're doing the best they can. But if you know that's not you, then be able to communicate that with people. And if you can't communicate that with people, you have to do more work and discover why. You know what I mean? What's behind you not being able to communicate? Is this not a safe environment, healthy environment for you to communicate with? And is it something that do you really want this person, or do you just want the things that this person can give you? You know, what are you in this relationship for? And do you really want the person, or do you want the things that they can give you? If you really want a lasting relationship, we always talk about take your time, go through the interview process of, you know, really doing research on this person, seeing what their likes and dislikes are, what they are like in, you know, times of turmoil and trouble and all this other stuff, how they treat you on their own. And then, you know, are they receptive to you having this communication? Do you have to constantly tell them? Is it going over their head? Do they forget? Do they try, but you just have to nudge them some, or they just totally ignore not the clues, but you telling them? We have to stop leaving these little clues like people are detectives. Like, be upfront, because you want them to take you seriously, so treat them seriously, and give them the ammunition, or equip them to love you better. Because they're going to love you from their own experience. They're going to love you from what they know or what they saw. I'm going to give her flowers and candy. I'm going to take her, but that may not be your love language. Your love language may be words of affirmation or quality time. You know, some people just do like money. They'll buy you stuff. But anybody who has money can do that. But times will tell you, especially these days, may not always have money. Can we still love and laugh if we don't have any money? Can we spend quality time together? So be able to communicate that, know what your love language is, and be willing to reciprocate knowing someone else's love language, what that love language is, and then do that for them also.
Amen.
Oh man, I'm next.
Yes, you next.
I ain't take my whole 2 minutes, but Mike be looking
You
at me
took
funny
your
side
whole
eye.
2 minutes.
You said something earlier. The
I said a lot.
the image of relationships. You
Yeah.
know, some people just do it for the image, for the look, for how you appear. That's just the most important lesson of them all. And everything you just said, you know, I wish I could say it just as well as you did. But the one thing that we want to avoid is just looking like we're in a happy relationship when deep down inside we know we're not happy. We know this thing isn't going to last. And if you're in those type of relationships and you have kids, your kids can sniff that out quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Yep.
So, you know, I came into this conversation midstream. I started talking about the kids because that's a passion of mine right now in the position that I'm in as a city council person. And I want to know how to reach the kids. And what I learned tonight very clearly was we have to get through to the adults to get through to the kids. So, you know, we want to make a difference in this city. It's going to have to come from the ground up because us old folks are tainted. We're bitter. We've been treated badly. We've been sniffing up a lot of pollution. Yeah. We've been in jail, in and out of jail. We've lost our jobs. We've got new hope coming behind us. And love is the answer. It starts at home. Everybody says that, right? It starts at home, whether it's education, whether it's religion, whether it's health, fitness, how to eat, it starts at home. So great topic tonight. I can tell you, I feel as though I've received more than I gave. And I just want to thank you two for allowing me to share the time with you.
Oh, not a problem. You sound like Donnie Simpson from like
Well,
BET.
I've heard that before. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jay Sutton used to say that all the time.
You do?
Especially when I used to wear a little brim.
Yeah. Come in with the Donnie Simpson.
Donnie
Let me
Simpson.
tell
I got
y'all
green
something.
eyes too.
What people need to realize is that happiness is not a constant state. It's rather a collection of moments.
Yeah.
But also realize that misery is not a constant state. It's a collection of moments. At the end of the day, as we live life, we have to ask ourselves, what type of moments are we collecting more? What type of moments are we working towards? No, nobody's responsible for your happiness, but people can be a part of it. Mm-hmm. People can share in it. You got what I'm saying? See, most of the time, we truly have to understand who we are. Who are you? Stop listening to the world around you that tells you what's okay and what's not okay. I think most of the time we're living our lives based off of what people told us we were supposed to be. And that is the first unhappy moment that we collect in life. When people start telling us that we can't spread our wings far enough. When people teach us to be ashamed of ourselves, when we have thought processes, when we ask questions, we learn to be ashamed to ask questions when we ask a question and somebody laughs at us. And we carry those lessons in our heart, and we apply them to life in a way that holds us back. So I couldn't ask a question in the classroom, or I asked my mom and dad something and they told me to shut the hell up rather than to answer it. So when you fall in love, you tend not to ask too many questions. You tend not to say too much, because what you have to say, it never mattered before, so why would it matter now? We have to break away from thinking like that. And not only do we have to break away from that, but we need to love people in a manner, love those around you in a manner that lets them know it's okay. You're okay being you. I'm here because you are you. And that's okay. It's all right. When you get upset, when you get angry about something, that's okay too. I'm not going to co-sign and say the way that you project it onto others is okay. I'm never going to co-sign onto that. But what I will tell you is it's okay to be upset, and it's okay to express that. But let's talk about these things in a healthy way that creates healthy conversation so that we can heal from our past pains. We can't keep passing these things on to our children. We can't. Because when we pass them on to our children, then their lives are worse because of it. They fail to learn how to communicate properly, or they run into a situation where they overcompensate. Well, my mom and dad made me feel like this, so I'll never do that to my child. The problem is they don't do anything, right, and the child just runs wild. You got what I'm saying? Let me tell y'all. One day, me and my daughter was walking to the store, and this is a few years ago. My daughter was probably about 5, and she used to love picking flowers. And every day that we would walk, I would let her pick flowers. But this one day in particular, it was this weird-looking flower. It was pretty. I don't know what it was because I'm not an expert in flowers. But my daughter said, "Oh, Daddy, look, can I pick that flower?" And I told her no. And she looked a little bit annoyed at the fact that I told her no, because normally I would tell her, yeah, go ahead. But I had to explain to her that every flower that you see, it's not meant to be picked. Sometimes you have to leave it there so other people walking past can appreciate its beauty. Let me tell you something. People walking past, they appreciate your beauty. They may not always say it. No matter what you've been through, no matter which setting you're in, because that flower, it may have been a weed, I don't know. But I couldn't tell. All I saw was how beautiful it was. So someone sitting there appreciating you for how beautiful you are, no matter how you may think about yourself, what you may think about yourself. So I'm pretty sure that Pierre is going to come in this door any moment and get ready to play us off. Play us off, Sam.
Is that a vacuum I see?
But what I just want y'all to know that it's okay. It's okay. Where you're at right now, it's okay. If you want to be better, if you want to do better, go ahead and attempt that. If you want your children to have better, even if you feel like you don't have it all to give, don't be ashamed of that. Only be ashamed when you choose to do nothing. That's it. And I always tell people, don't try anything. Just do it. Just do it. And if you fail at doing something, you didn't try to do it. You did it. It just didn't work out. And you just got to think of a better way of doing it. You got what I'm saying? It's more positive ways of thinking. But I do appreciate everybody for coming out. All of Stefan's information is in the link. Dawn said 100. Yeah.
She wasn't talking about you.
Damn. I can't get nothing. Nah. I hate it here. That's what my daughter always said to me. I hate it here. You know, so.
Gotta feed her.
You know what I mean? So make sure y'all check out, Chester blog, Roots for Chester, Instagram and Facebook, and Stefan at rootsforchester.com. And the election is May 18th. So if you're Democratic and you want to vote and you want to put somebody different in that city council seat, here's your man.
Yes, I am.
Thank you so much. And we will check you out next week. Same time. Well, actually, Monday at 6 p.m. for Word Up with Uncle P and Storm. And then next Tuesday night again, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., Open Mics Cafe Live. Dom to be here again because I'm dragging her here.
I'm allowed back.
You're allowed back this time.
You did good.
And also on, March the 24th, over at Dream Event Space. I think the address is 517 Avenue of the States. I'm having an open mic, so y'all come through and check it out. I put the information on Facebook. I will put it out there again. You can send your $10 to $open mics, and that will be your ticket, your golden ticket to get in. So we will talk to you soon. Always find a reason to smile. Always find a reason to laugh. It's too much bullshit in this world not to. Peace.
Crabs in a barrel. Want what you have, try to pull you down. Don't wanna work, just wanna take